what I've got going on now is I've got this system. I call it the schizophrenic.
In 230 meters, you are over the speed limit.
I've got one
Take
GPS
next left in
telling me one thing.
2 kilometers. Keep left.
Well, now they're saying the same thing. Before they were saying completely different things. Because I've got the one here in the Nokia and this Clarion, and they both got different ideas on how I should drive.
In 740 meters.
Prepared to turn back in 740 meters, says Clarion. What does Nokia say to that?
Over the speed limit.
Thank you, Clarion. What's Nokia got to say for herself? Anything or nothing?
Prepare to turn right in 300 meters.
Right, what have you got to say to that, Nokia? Am I supposed to turn right in 300 meters?
Take next right in 100 meters. Next right.
Next right. Well, I have no intention of doing that.
Prepare to turn right in 700.
After 700 meters, keep left.
After 700, keep left, says Nokia. Clarion, you say after 700 keep left?
Prepare to turn right.
After 300 meters, keep left.
You see, they don't agree with each other. They're having a little argument here. They're using the same loudspeakers.
Take next right in 1.
Keep left.
Two women arguing I've got about the way I should be going. It's like having two backstreet drivers that don't agree with each other. It's
10
great.
meters, turn right, then next right. Prepare to turn back in 610.
By the way, the reason for the discrepancy in the opinions of these two machines, both of which are GPS machines working perfectly well in the sense, but that's got all maps in it, so it's not aware of the new motorways, or the new motorway link between Katowice and Wrocław, which means that going to Wrocław, I'm actually driving towards Prague this time. So I've got a load of stuff in the back of the car that I need to take there one time, so that I couldn't just always be flying and never driving. I have to drive just this once, and basically, thank you, Clarion.
Prepare to turn back in 580 meters.
The Clarion's not happy because it doesn't. It's not aware of the fact that I'm going to get a much better link by the new motorways which are join Katowice up with Wrocław, that they're finished.
Prepare to turn back
I was too
in
cheapskatey
300 meters.
to update my when I bought it already had out of date maps, but the thing is I know the maps, I know them anyway, so
In 100 meters, turn back.
the reason I've got this on is to provide a loudspeaker, because it's also got a sort of hands-free system for the phone.
Prepare to turn sharp
And
left.
the phone also has its own.
640 meters.
The phone has its own GPS system as well, the E66. So its GPS voice is telling me what to do through the same speakers on the Clarion that the Clarion's own voice is telling me what to do, with two different
Prepare to
opinions.
Turn sharp left in 300 meters.
But unfortunately, the Clarion has
Take next sharp left in 100 meters.
wrong information. Anyway, this is the south side of Częstochowa, driving out of it towards Katowice.
Prepare to turn right in 380 meters.
And I'll perhaps do a bit more filming later if it gets interesting. This road, by the way, is near Świerklaniec, or actually in Świerklaniec, which is a place I used to. There's a castle here, a palace that was turned into a hotel. I used to like to come here in 92, 93, that sort of time, for when I was down in this area doing audits. This was my base because it was such a nice, elegant palace. This road has just recently been re-tarmacked. I think it's been re-tarmacked actually in the last few weeks. So for some reason there's some work going on it even now, and so I've managed to get myself into a queue. And it was to avoid queues that I came this way. All told, I've gone 272 kilometres. I've still got 394 kilometres. When I started out, it said I had 610 kilometres, but that was for a much more direct route. It wasn't motorway, but would have been perhaps slower. I don't know whether I did the wrong thing not taking it right now, because in any event I've still got this. But the idea was to avoid going through Wrocław, which can be a bit of a pig, especially at rush hour, on my way to Prague. I have to see how long I'm stuck here for, but the idea that I had in mind was to actually was to see if I could just catch sight of that palace, but I don't think I'm going to. If I cut through there, oddly enough, I'd get onto another road. You can see some headlights down at the end of that. I could cut through there and get on a road which would come this way and avoid having to wait for that. The chances are that by the time I did it, I'd probably have a lights change and I'd have to be waiting there then. So I think I'll wait where I am and not take that cut through, even though it's tempting to try something always. I always want to try something. There's another one there, but I don't know where it goes. Okay, in the end I did successfully pull the stunt I was talking about a minute ago, where I went round the back and got ahead of these other cars. They're still back there. I don't know what this guy's thinking of, keeping people. There's a guy there directing it all. He seems to be keeping the main road going, but the side roads stopped there for an inordinate length of time. He bled one or two out just in the period where as I was coming round, but he's still keeping them all stuck there, and I don't think he knows what he's doing. There's a nice looking lake over there with all water lilies on it, which is beautiful. They're not in flower. I think they've been already in flower. There are a few yellow reminiscences of the ends of their flowers on them. I think the upshot of that is that I don't see this palace. Still, onwards and upwards. There's the other side of these roadworks, also have a bit of a queue going on them. Seems to be stuck there.
Prepare to turn right in 800 meters.
The funny thing about it is I haven't even seen a sign for the palace. Maybe it's not there anymore, but they wouldn't have done that, surely.
You are over the speed limit.
Alright. I expect that sometimes I am over the speed limit.
Take next right in 100 meters.
Right. Next right in 100 meters. I always used to go down that road when I down into Piekary Śląskie when I used to stay there. So maybe I simply haven't got there yet. That may be what it's all about.
Over the speed limit.
All right. Keep your hair on. Nice heathy kind of scrub with a bit of forest in the background and some nice houses in amongst them all.
Prepare to enter roundabout in 800 meters.
Roundabout. I don't remember no roundabout here. This is Silesia, by the way, Upper Silesia. People have got outside of their homes to look at the roadworks because that's all the entertainment they've got.
In 300 meters, enter roundabout. Take second exit.
Okay. Uh-oh. That's the Nokia chiming in. I turned that off, by the way, in the meantime. Save on some of my packet data. Up towards Tarnowskie Góry.
Drive
Nice looking
3.2
conifers.
kilometers.
Oh, that's a lovely garden centre. Look at that. Beautiful. Ogród Śląski, it says here in Nachod Śląski. Really nice combinations of rocks and plants over in there. I'm beginning to I've decided that I'm going to go for mainly conifers for my balcony because they're the only things that I seem to be able to keep alive and flourishing, or not, well, not the only things, but they're the things that do best out there. So whereas actually I used to have a place where conifers were, you know, used to die on me left, right and centre, and that's why I went off them. But where I am now, the conifers are doing well. You must remember only to make sure they're fed with, I can't remember what it is, phosphorus or potassium. I always get those two muddled up, so that they don't go brown, basically. And anybody who knows a bit about the subject who's listening to this can put me right on it. There we are. I think that's it ahead. Or am I wrong? Maybe not. Maybe that's an old fancy town hall. That's a bit of architecture worth having if I can only catch it. A nice vegetable market over there with big broccolis on sale, or cauliflowers rather, I should say. In case anybody's wondering what this is ahead of us here, this sort of like with an A-frame on this thing, that is for transporting windows so that they don't fall off and get broken. The windows get leant against that frame, and that way they don't scratch each other, and they don't there's minimal damage in transit. That's a window carrying or double glazing carrying equipment for a truck. What's changed since 92 and 93, since the times when I used to be here? I don't think there was any cladding like that on that house. It looks old, but I think I would have remembered it. Certainly no kebabs. The proliferation of the kebab stall is more modern than 1992-93 in Poland. There were some kebabs starting up at that time in Warsaw. I think there was about 1 or 2 kebab houses in Warsaw. But as for the countryside, well, kebabs only came really in the 2000s. But it's a popular form of eating here, as in just about anywhere else. It goes with the diaspora into Europe of people from the Middle East. But not only, sometimes you get people doing kebab stores that have nothing to do really with the Middle East, especially the countryside ones. Probably Turkey, including the idea of Turkey in the Middle East is questionable. Whether Turkey is Middle Eastern or not is depends on how you look at it and what part of Turkey you're talking about. And as you can see, there's a lot of stopping and starting in this journey. Now that I've got to 3:30, it's going to be troublesome because in Silesia everybody runs out of their workplace at about 3:30. They don't give it much time, I can tell you. They don't like doing overtime in Silesia, especially the ladies. The ladies have got to be there that little bit earlier than the men to get home because they've got to have the having done a day's work themselves, in as much as you can call a Silesian day's work an actual day's work. I'm suppose they do get up early in the morning, that much you have to give them. There's a bad place. But they then come home, and the ladies here, and they all got red hairs there. That's where the expression comes from, Ruda Śląska. There's another one with red hair. She's another Ruda Śląska. And so Ruda Śląska is the term for a Silesian red-headed girl. And there are so many of them, they've even got their own town not far from here. And also some of the buildings like this one are red-headed as well. But that isn't actually, I don't think that was the Świerklaniec palace that I caught. It's, I think, a church there. Very nice though. I can't see it so much through the trees, but very pleasant. And this is now Tarnowskie Góry anyway, rather than Świerklaniec, so not even getting the town right. But there we are. It's nice. It's worth photographing the architecture. I ought to stop and offload this camera onto my computer and then do some more filming, but whether I will do so or not is another matter. According to my Clarion here, even despite the fact that this information is imperfect, I've got 388 more kilometers to go to my street in Prague, and that's supposed to be 5 hours and 10 minutes. It's now 15:40, so if you add 5 hours and 10 minutes to 15:40, that gets you all the way to 20:50, doesn't it? So it's nearly 9 o'clock, which is doable if you then add in an hour's to eat somewhere and take petrol later. That's more looking at 10 o'clock, and I don't want to be any later than that, so I have to get a bit of a spurt on. Just coming up to the Czech border, but of course now we're all in Schengen, so the border has to be invisible. It's interesting. It's difficult to say which is which now, what thing is for which place, but judging by the fact that there's more... Ah, I see. So I have to get a tax for a Czech roads. Now I know how much they cost. It's for a car up to 3.5 tons. A second ago I actually got cut off from not having enough space left, but I've now gone into something which, well, I scrubbed off something which I'd recorded earlier just in order to keep myself safe. It was a conversation that I'd had that I wanted to record. There wasn't any film on it, and it was a private matter, and I now, since everything worked out okay. So here's the border. Here's the border. I wanted to record this. This is the border. It's a Schengen border, so all we've got here now, there's the border, Granica Państwa in Polish language. There should be no checks or anything, excuse my pun, because it's the Czech border, but there should be no checks as in C-H-E-C-K. This is the old border territory, the old border buildings, but I should, in theory, be able to drive straight through and nobody should ask me to show my passport. I stayed on the Polish side, bought my Czech road tax, which I was talking about when I got cut off before. Czech Republika, Metuje, etc., etc. So now we're in the Czech Republic, and that's how it now works. No more controls between one country and another country here than there are controls at the borders between states in America. From what I remember, all you've really got there is a sign, and effectively that's all we've really got here too. A new language might start. Here it started, but they're mutually intelligible anyway, to a certain extent. Somebody's, well, that won't be visible, but somebody's paragliding or something over those hills over there. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about the rates for Czech road tax. It was 50 zlotys, which is about £10 or $15 or something like that, if you wanted to go for 7 days. That would have been 50 zlotys. To do it for a whole month, that would have been 70 zlotys. But for a whole year, and this is regardless of where we are in the year, it's actually not such a fantastic deal now, but in January it's a much better deal. It's 180 zlotys for the year. Just the last bit of the sun here on the motorway in from Pardubice again, going into Prague. I can't take much because the battery's on its last legs. It's already clonked out on me once when I was telling you that the Prague, or the Czech cost for the motorways for a whole year is 180, which is just like basically a few months. No, 2.5 months, I suppose. That's very typical for the Czech Republic to...
Oj, 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 oj.